Seems that the Lord has graced you, and I always say that people who are caregivers, the Lord has really graced them for that because everybody can't do it. Everybody won't do it. Everybody doesn't have the mental or physical capacity to do it.
I also want to encourage people that in your caregiving, you have to take care of yourself.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Caregivers Collective. I am Tangela, and today we have a special guest, a good friend of mine, Rhonda Walton. Before you've heard a little bit about her, but before we get started, I want you, Rhonda, to tell us a little bit about yourself, and we can talk about who we are, how long we've known each other. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about because it's just you and me.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Walton, and I have been knowing Angela for, I don't know, what, 25 years or so.
Wow.
So we've been knowing each other through church
Yep. Yes.
and just loving the Lord. And we've been knowing each other for a long time. So I'm just honored to be here today. I'm prior military. I'm a minister. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I know that I love what I do. I think everything that I do includes the Lord. So I just want to thank the Lord for just being here with you and just talking about good things, real life.
Well, I do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. And this is our first time doing this. You just reminded me that not only was your husband in the military, but you were in the military too. So I might have you back again and talk about some other things having to do with caregivers and coming from the military and being a caregiver. So look forward to that here in the future.
Yeah.
So before we get started, I know, but the people don't know that your caregiving started. How far back along did your caregiving journey start?
It started in probably late 2014. My sister had MS. She was with my brother and his family, but I think they needed a break. So we decided and talked about it with my family and that she would come to Texas. I'm not even sure I knew that was caregiving. I just wanted to find a good space for her. I wanted her to be in a good environment. Not that she wasn't with my brother, but just we had the church going, and she was really kind of depressed because of the MS. One thing is she never understood the why. And so, how and why it was her. Just trying to make a good space for her and brought her down. The first year, we did not have the space for her to be in our house. So we were looking for a house even prior to bringing her down, but bought a new house, got that all settled, moved her in, and just trying to make her, my family, her family, just trying to make a space for her that she could be comfortable with. So I think she was really set on Rhonda taking care of her, or Rhonda.
So you're saying that she wanted, if she had a preference, it would be for you to take care of her.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but I was trying to give her a family. I was trying to give her like life, a life that she could really enjoy. I got two girls, and I think Dominique was in her teens and Erica's early 20s. And so it was where they could enjoy it. She could enjoy them and they could enjoy her. Like they could do things
Right.
together, like get their nails done. Or
So how long did your sister suffer with MS?
she probably realized she had it in like 2006 or 7 because she went back home to help take care of my parents. That's when she really, they figured out what was wrong.
And when did
Hmm.
she move in with you?
In 13.
And when did she pass?
In 2020. Like right at the end of COVID.
So did COVID have anything to do with it by chance?
No.
Okay, okay. So you were her caregiver and she was happy being with you, I would assume, since she wanted Rhonda. So she was happy being with you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So as a caregiver, I know it was stressful because even though your daughters may have been grown, it still was your sister. In all of that, Talk to me about what was the most rewarding part of the caregiving journey for you.
I think the most rewarding is was having her here. We would spend time talking about things, talking about the Lord, just trying to really draw her in to allowing the Lord to meet her needs. I think the best thing about it was just sharing the Lord and just opening my home and her being here.
So I would imagine there were a lot of emotional challenges. When do you think like most of the challenges came? Were they just in the beginning as you were getting to know what your role is and what you needed to do as a caregiver? Or did it come mostly at the end as her life began to wind down?
I think as we went along, because I had to like figure things out. So it was as we went along and things were not like opening up like I thought they would. So that first year, she lived in some apartments, which is around the corner from my house. This was like the summertime, and my girls was home, my husband was home, and I said, if you need anything, just give them a call, or either they would come over and spend time with her. Right? She didn't want nothing until like 5 o'clock when Rhonda got home, and so
She was going to
it,
get her Rhonda, huh?
right. And so my daughters was like, we've been here all day. And so it was frustrating for them.
Right.
We've been here all day. We've been trying to do this and do that. And she didn't want anything. So now here we are. And so they would come home and I would stay there with her for a while. And sometimes I was there a long time because you're just trying to like explain things and figure it out. And it was rough just trying to figure out how this thing's really work.
You talked a little bit about your frustrations, and I guess just frustration, the biggest part of it being just trying to figure it all out. Can you talk to me a little bit about the burnout that came with being a caregiver?
Well, the burnout just kind of comes with like just trying to make things work and then they don't. And not only that, it's just that that person is not working with you. With that, once I really figured that part out, like it wasn't going to happen,
Right.
kind of sort of. I just kind of started backing away because she had her home health care. Lucy would come in and she spent how many ever hours a day, and Lucy was here. So I was just giving her space. And if she wanted to talk about it, we could talk about it. If she wanted this, she got it. It was just like not trying to force goodness on you.
Right, right. You mentioned something a little bit before about the time. I know, like with my mom, there'll be days and times that my expectation is to go over and spend at 2 hours, and it's kind of really blocked out 2 hours a day. But I'll get ready to leave, and my mom's like, "Well, you leaving now?" And that's kind of my cue that I'm not leaving
No.
right now. I'm probably going to be there for at least another 30 minutes to an hour. So I totally understand that part. I think I read somewhere where you said something about asking for help. Many people struggle with asking for help. Many caregivers struggle with asking for help. Are you one of those persons who struggle with asking for help? And if not, talk to me a little bit about what you did. I understand that your daughters were there to help, but what about any other, and Lucy, of course, with the home health care? Are there any other family members or anybody else that either you were willing to ask or were willing to step up, even though your sister run it, Rhonda?
So I am an avid believer that the answer is always no unless you ask. So asking for help is not difficult for me.
Okay.
So when I would have something else to do or I had to go out of town or something like that, I had a great support system and my brother would come, especially like for the General Assembly, and spend that time with her. And then the Saints were always very helpful. If I had just to go like up to Dallas or something, not very far, just the weekend or something like that. Friday, she would go through her day. One of the Saints would come and spend the night with her. And then what I would do, the caregiver, home health care, Lucy, we would pay her out of pocket for the weekend. So Lucy's coming Saturday to do her 4 to 6 hours. on Sunday. The ladies were very, very helpful in coming over for lunch, coming over to keep her company, spend the night if I had other engagements. Think it's the Lord all the time. So everything that, just falls into place is the Lord.
He's the Lord. That's the right answer
It's the
right
Lord.
there.
So I would just thank the Lord that He just made a way for me to, I didn't have to stop going to the missions conference, or if I had things to do in the jurisdiction. None of those things came to a screeching halt because the saints, one year my aunt came down to spend with her, to stay with Jana. So it was just a blessing that I had that. I know everybody don't have it, and I know people don't like asking for help, but I would just like to encourage people to ask for help because it does something for you.
Right.
Because if we burn out, it's a wrap.
You're right. If the caregivers burn out, who is going to care for the ones who need the care? So you're absolutely right about that. I know we're here today talking about your sister that you took care of. We've talked before, and I know that your sister is not the only one that you've cared for. As a matter of fact, there's somebody else that you cared for. I'm not even going to ask about the name and who it is. Can you talk to me a little bit about the different struggles that may be a little different than what you went through with your sister? And tell us a little bit about that caregiving situation.
So right now we're in the middle of just trying to help. She's an older lady in our church, and she's in our church organization, but she was up. She's not here in San Antonio, but about like an hour away. She got sick in the hospital, and so she has a church that she fellowships there. And so I'm telling you, it's the Lord. He comes in and He put this support system together for her. And so we laugh because it started out me and one of the other sisters down there on the medical power of attorney. And then another sister came up to stay with her. She was getting out of the hospital. She came up, is staying with her right now until we can figure out the whole home healthcare thing and however that's going to play out. But we laugh because I take care of like the bills and things. The other sisters at her house just keeping things going. And then another sister is like going back and forth. And we make sure that we stay up with her medical situation,
Right.
what's going on with that. We're in a chat group. And so she is back in rehab right now because that's a whole nother story. But that she went back into the
Come
hospital.
on, tell us about that story.
So she was in the hospital, and then in rehab, she didn't want to wear her BiPAP that makes her breathe correctly, right?
Okay.
So she didn't want to wear it. And in rehab, those people got like, I don't know how many people on that floor that they got to take care of.
Right.
And while you're fussing about not wearing a mask at night, they're like, okay, don't wear it, which was not the right answer.
Right.
But they got to keep going down the hallway, right?
Right.
So when they sent her home, her CO2 levels got way too high, and she's back in the hospital. So we've been, just going up and down the road, just trying to keep things afloat, keep her. You got to keep people's mental health okay because they get depressed, they get sad, they start, declining. And that's what happened to my sister. She declined. Like once you lose, you say you give up in your mind, your body follows.
What Watchman Nee say, the mind, the battlefield, every battle is won and lost in the mind. And
In the
once,
mind.
yep, if you lose
Yes.
it there, then everything else is gone. I read something somewhere where somebody said the best way to keep your mother alive is to visit her often, or be in touch with us. And same thing with any other people, it's not just your mother, it's any other person that you're caring for. If you spend time with them, that's the best way to keep them around because
It is.
Right. I had a friend of mine, she passed at 103. She was almost 104 years old. Now, she was a little different because she was here and she was like, I don't know why the Lord has me here. And I used to tease her and go, you're here for me. It was almost like she wouldn't or couldn't die, you know. But
Mm,
then she got tired, you know, because at 103 years old, that's a long time. But
yeah,
she didn't, for a long time, you know, in her mind, even though she wondered why she was still there, her mind was good and she was okay with being there. And you know, I think that many people, once they decide that they don't want to be there anymore, then that's when the big decline comes.
right.
So you've seems that the Lord has graced you, and I always say that people who are caregivers, the Lord has really graced them for that, because everybody can't do it. Everybody won't do it. Everybody doesn't have the mental or physical capacity, and I'm just saying to you, I thank God that you do it. You know, I didn't know your sister, but I thank God that you do it, because even as a caregiver myself, I appreciate seeing other caregivers who are doing what I'm doing. And I know that they understand what I'm doing because they're doing
Yeah.
it themselves. So you talked a little bit about, I think I read while when we were talking about your resources. I think I read somewhere you said Humana was like your best friend or whatever. Talk to me about with your sister. Talk to me a little bit about that. So, because the people need to know what kind of sources they have as far as what's out there.
And it's always good to have somebody in your circle that is medically inclined or maybe got that social work background or something like that. Well, one, Jana was a social worker, so she knew a lot already. So when she got here, got connected with Humana, and we had a good caseworker. And so she would just tell us everything that was due. Like everything you can have, here it is. And you don't find many caseworkers like that. Really, they should be like that because you pay for the insurance and you pay for all of that. So
Right.
you should offer all of that.
Right. You should be getting what you're paying for. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So they just opened the door and said, hey, she's entitled to, they would give her like supplies. You get like, I don't know if it was $30 a month or 50, I can't remember, where you can get, if she needed like toiletries or depends or, just whatever she needed like that, all the services that will take them to appointments, the van service that'll drop them off and pick them up. She had a good source of medical care, which was amazing. I really think if she thought more about like where she was and what she had as opposed to the disease, because it's not like it's a disease that kills you.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
MS is not a life threatening. I mean, I guess anything can take your life, but it's not something that you cannot live with. You can't live with MS.
Right. Like if you had, what are those, whatever you get from smoking or whatever, that could kill you or whatever. So it's not like something like that.
Right.
Right.
And so they really gave us everything that they had. And I was really grateful because I didn't have to guess and I didn't have to look for it. So that was another blessing too. But I do want to tell you this. So just talking about being a caregiver, like I've been doing this kind of like all my life.
Okay.
So even as a little girl, I would take kids into the house. We didn't live in the hood or nothing, but it was like, they had people there that you didn't care about the kids or whatever, right?
Right.
And so Saturday morning, they're out there playing and the hair's not combed and this and that. And I would bring them into the house, give them baths, comb their hair. My mom would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, they're dirty. They need whatever. I would tell them, go get some clean clothes. And so she's like, you can't do that. You just can't do that. Like, I'm like, they don't
Like,
care.
why can't I?
I know. They don't care. Their mom don't care. And I started doing that at a young age. And so I could just remember that. I could remember sitting outside with I think Papa Joe was just like an adopted grandpa because I would go down there and just spend time with him, just sit there and talk and talk and talk. And he would tell me the same stories over and over. But that was fine. He had somebody to talk to.
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's just, I think the Lord I really believe the Lord gave that to me. And so fast forward to today, Erica took custody of one of her students. When she came to tell us, she was waiting for an approval.
right.
And we were like, why didn't you come like sooner to like talk about it? And so she said, what do you mean? She said, it's your fault. Her and my dad, her and her dad. She said, all my life, she said, all I can remember is people staying with us.
Right.
You guys were helping them out.
I'm just being like you, mama.
I know. And
Right.
so we were like, all right.
Well, it sounds like you were
So,
a good example for her because we need more people like that. Let me be careful about how I say that because even although we need more people like that, like I said before, everybody is not given to that. So we have to appreciate those who are and those who can and those who do.
yes. But then, too, I also want to encourage people that in your caregiving and all that we do for other people, and I had to learn this, and it took me a while because you just do and do and do, and you don't really, sometimes you don't think about it,
Hmm.
but you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that. I'm telling you, I was 50 when I figured it out.
Hmm.
And I said, it was just kind of like I woke up like, you got to take care of yourself.
Right.
I was, I was overweight, which I'm still a little overweight. I was overweight, just trying. I'm telling you, you have to
You
figure
wear it well. You wear it well. I saw you recently. You wear it well.
this. So I said I got into the YMCA, which is down the street from my house. Got into the YMCA, tried to take some classes, got to change my, diet, and got to walking up and down these streets. And what that does too, not only is it good for your health, it's good for your mental health because sometimes you got to think things through. Sometimes you have to, like, while I was walking, I was either praying or just trying to like let things go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just encourage people, take care of yourself
I agree.
because you cannot pour out of an empty cup.
Oh, say that again. Mm, mm, mm.
Yes. So I told you I learned it at 50.
Yeah, right? We say you learned at 50. Yeah. There's self-care is not selfish and we have
It's
to it's the best thing, really it's the best thing that you can do for the person that you're caring for because it helps to strengthen you to be able to be there to be whatever you need to be for them. There were times I saw you out on Facebook and you're out walking. How you doing with your walking and stuff? I know you used to be out there walking and stuff, and I'm not really on Facebook a whole lot these days, but are you still walking? What are you doing? What?
no. So that's what happens. You get into a lull and then, you're back out there just doing things. And, once you uh, get off that wagon, it's hard to get back on. So me and a coworker of mine, we walk at work, and I do enjoy walking though, because it's just a time of like reflection. I like to like do those little videos and just encourage people because we need encouragement.
True.
People need to be encouraged. And people go through a lot of things and probably never say anything about it. And the worst thing you can do is internalize things,
Yeah.
because when you internalize, it's gonna that's what's gonna be making you sick, the stress. And it does get makes you have ulcers and high blood pressure and heart problems and all kind of things, migraines.
Right. And you're right, and because I internalize stuff a lot, but the balance for me is when I do get a chance to get out and walk. And wow, for months I was out walking, and first couple of months I walked more than I walked in the first year or whatever, and then I just kind of got tired. Being a caregiver,
Right.
life just kind of going up and
Keep
down the road.
life.
Yeah, keeps life. And then I realized, you know what? You just have to get up and do it. Because if you could just get up and put your feet on the floor and get out of that bed and walk outside, it's something about God's sunshine that makes a whole
Yeah.
lot of difference. When I get ready to walk, because I start reading through the Bible, you know, in a year, every year and a half or so, I'll start reading. And so that's my time to start reading. And I find that when I do that before I get my day started, it's like a chunk of my day that's out. I'm not contributing to being a caregiver. So when I do get to that part of my day, it doesn't seem like it's a long day. It seems like I've got more hours in a day. So that's a good thing. So just getting out and walking and taking care of yourself and being intentional about it, whether it's 10 minutes a day, whether it's some people like to journal. I hate journaling, but hey, if that's you and that's what you like, I'm not just let me walk, just let me walk.
Right.
Let me, so whatever it is that you can do to release the stress, then that, like Rhonda said, that's important. Talk to me. Give me a little advice. What advice would you give to someone who's just stepping into the role of a caregiver?
Just really take it one day at a time. Kind of, I would say have a plan, but plans don't always work out.
Right.
But you have to keep a love for that person, that loved one. Because sometimes they can make you very angry. Sometimes they can like they could just make you want to like flip your lid.
Right.
But what we do is we remember what we're doing.
Right.
And so if it's your sister or your mom or your dad or whatever, you have to continue to love them. You have to love them. And that's why we're here, because we love them. And you don't want to see them, over somewhere else being mistreated,
Right.
because I've seen those places.
Right.
Whether it's intentional or they're just very busy, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Or whether or not they're not practicing self care, so they bring their frustrations out or take their frustrations out on the person that they're
the,
caring for or should be caring for.
right. And I know this is only like in a perfect world kind of thing,
Right.
but in like these the rehab or the nursing home or nursing facilities, they have their nurses and doctors and stuff, but then you have the CNAs and those people that's going to just try to do the rest of the work. But I think they need to like screen people a little better, because one thing, you chose this profession.
Right.
So you should treat the people like you would want to be treated. And that's really what we should do anyway.
Yeah.
Treat people the way we want to be treated.
That's
And
Bible, right?
so, right. So if you want people like dogging you out, all right. But that's not what we want.
Right.
So I would encourage people to, just continue to love your loved ones, take the best care of them that you can, but don't forget about yourself,
Right.
because, like I said, you can't pour out of an empty cup. And then if something happens to you, then what happens
Right.
next?
There was a question that I had earlier that I forgot to ask. It was about where did your sister, what state or city did your sister come from? Did she come from Texas or did she come from another city? And the reason I'm asking that is, do you think that the care that you got, so what Humana offered, I guess you had that, she would have had that same care, because what I want to do is I want to offer some kind of information that people can, because I don't know if every state has the same care, or was there some state care that she got in Texas that she wouldn't have got wherever she was. So where did she come from?
She came from Indiana, from Indianapolis. I brought her down from Indiana. So it was just like a relocation. So we had to switch over all of her insurance and everything to Texas.
Okay.
So I believe it's like state to state. I'm not sure what all she had while she was in Indiana because I just wasn't with her.
Gotcha.
But here in Texas, I would just kind of think it would be pretty much the same because it's the same company. It's Humana.
Okay.
So it's not like it was like a small town insurance company. It's like
Gotcha.
Humana.
Right.
So I think the care, I'm just going to say, would not change only because the company that it's with. It's not
Gotcha.
like a small town company. So I relocated her, like got moved all her stuff down, her car, all I'm telling you, everything.
Wow. That's a wonderful sister that you have been. You said she was with your brother and then she was with you. Outside of you and her, your brother, was there anybody else, that any other family member that, if you didn't do this, could have or would have done this?
No,
So there was nobody that could have or nobody that would have.
nobody that would have.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Wow. So, as a caregiver, there it's going to be important, and Rhonda's going to talk to us a little bit about the fact or the idea of making sure that all of your legal documents are in place as a caregiver, because there's some limitations that you're going to run up against if you do not have those particular documents as a caregiver. Can you talk to us a little bit about anything, any issues you might have run into without, because you didn't have documents, or did you have everything in place? Or talk to us about that.
So I did, like I said, Jana was a social worker, so she knew things already, right? So she already had power of attorney, a general power of attorney, and that will allow you to do and to take care of any affairs of theirs,
Okay.
whether they're like mentally not able to make decisions or if they pass away. And then also the medical power of attorney. The medical power of attorney will enable you to talk with doctors, make decisions when they're not able. So that medical power of attorney is really important as well. So those two things, and don't get confused, you can't get one and then think it'll just, go
That it
for
covers
everything.
everything. Hmm.
Right. So the medical power of attorney is just that. It's just for you to get all that information that you need, make decisions for them when they're not able. General power of attorney is for you to take care of any affairs. Say when my sister passed away, like if she had a house or a car or anything like that, that bank accounts, anything like that, you're able to access.
So let's repeat this again. So there are two main types of POAs. You have the medical power of attorney, which is also called the healthcare proxy. And this gives a caregiver the authority, this gives them the authority to make healthcare decisions for their loved one if they become incapacitated. And then, of course, then you have the durable financial power of attorney. And this allows a caregiver to manage finances, bills, pay bills, and handle other financial responsibilities. And without a POA in place, caregivers may have to go through lengthy court process to gain legal authority over their loved one's affairs. So, here's a pro tip. Have these documents prepared while your loved one is still mentally competent to ensure that their wishes
Right.
are honored, because once
Yes,
they become incapacitated, or they are unsure whether or not they are of a right state of mind, they may they may not accept their signature because they can't be sure that they're not signing these documents under duress.
that's exactly right. So
Yes.
just make sure you have those documents in place, and it just makes things so much easier.
Yes. And of course, the basic power of attorney allows a designated person to make financial or healthcare decisions on behalf of their loved ones when they're unable to do so. The regular, just basic power of attorney does have some limitations that you will run into unless you have the medical and the durable financial power of attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
So since we're talking about it, then there, of course, there's the Advanced Healthcare Directive, also called a living will. That
Yes.
Yes. So this outlines a person's medical wishes in case they become incapacitated, they cannot communicate for themselves. This
Right.
includes decisions about life support, resuscitation, organ donation, and other critical health care choices. Then, of course, there's the HIPPA. This form is crucial for caregivers. It allows healthcare providers to share medical information with designated individuals, including their caregivers. Without this form, doctors and hospitals may be legally prohibited from discussing your loved one's health conditions with you. Why does
Right.
this matter? In a medical emergency, caregivers need access to medical records and the treatment plans to make informed decisions. So, those are important documents that every caregiver should make sure that they have in place, and don't wait until the pest control man came out today. He says, "Are you gonna wait until the termites come, or are you gonna get this plan now?" Same thing. Are you
Right.
gonna are you gonna wait until the person is unable to be assistance? Really, they're being assistance to you so that you can be assistance to them in case they need you. So you don't want to wait until it's too late.
And hopefully you don't have to go through any, because your mom. I'm not sure what dementia looks like and the things that you go through, but it wasn't nothing wrong with Jana's mind, and she was. If she wasn't happy, she was going to try to make sure you wasn't happy either.
I'll have to be honest with you. I thank God for her where she is because her sister also has Alzheimer's. And my mom and her sister are polar opposites. My mom's sister is on 10 all the time. My mom is very calm. And every once in a while, my dad, when I'm leaving, he'll walk me outside and he'll go, "Your mom had one of those days." And he'll tell me what it was like. And she might have been a little agitated. And we didn't grow up with my mom. My mom, the only time that she was any kind of way is when she was disciplining us. And even then, she wasn't mean or anything like that. She was just very calm. So I thank God for her demeanor. I thank
Amen.
God that that part of her comes out that way. There was one time, I guess, I don't know what happened, but she couldn't get in her room. And my dad was talking to some other people, and my mom felt like he should be paying attention to me so I can get in my room, right? And
Hmm.
she's like, "You're not listening to me." And I was like, "Whose mama is this? Because this ain't my mama." But then she catches herself and she realizes that's not who she is. I really thank God that
Yeah.
she, from the stories, I mean, even from, the commercials that you see on television about the loved ones getting agitated and mean and cursing and all that stuff. You know what? You have to thank God for the small things. And because my mom is not like that, that is not a small thing. That is a huge thing. And I thank
It
God
is.
for it.
Uh-huh. And that's what it's like, even like now with Elder Taylor, like I just have to thank the Lord because he is just making a way, like I said, with the way me and these other ladies work. And then Sister Cynthia, I told you she came up from Corpus. If not, where would Elder Taylor be? Like in a home somewhere? Like what?
Right.
Because she
Yep.
can't be at home by herself.
Right. Wow.
So I just really thank the Lord because even in my prayers, I'm like, Lord, I don't know how this is going to work out. I need you to give us a plan.
I'm telling you, and he's good about it. He works it out, doesn't
He
he? You're like,
doesn't
oh my
he?
God. But he's, he said, I never leave you or forsake you. He says, I know what you
Yeah,
need of before you ask. He says, knocking it shall be given unto you, seeking you shall find. He says,
yeah.
if your earthly father will give you, good things, how much more will I give good things to you? There's so, see, you about to get me to preaching here because,
I know. But that's what it is. It really comes down to, and we could put this on there too. It comes down to y'all get saved and allow the Lord to work in these situations.
right, right.
So that's what it boils down to. You need the Lord.
Right, you need the Lord. He's not going to give you everything you want, how you want it, and all that stuff. But He is going to take care of His own. I know that
Right.
much. He's not going to take care of it like you want it, because then He would be your little genie. He's going to take care of it how He knows is the
Exactly.
best way. And sometimes it's simply to keep you relying on Him
On
and
him.
depending on Him, and those little things that when they happen in certain kind of ways, and then it turns out for your good, you're like, Lord, I thank you. And you're like, I already knew. I
I
already knew.
know.
Yeah. I was reading the other day, and I don't know, I've heard this so many times, but this just kind of, it jumped off the pages as I was walking and I was listening. And when He healed the man, and He says, according to your faith, be it done
Yes.
unto you. And I was like, what you might need to check your faith. If something ain't working out,
Exactly.
you might want to check your faith. And that thing I heard that so many times growing
So
up,
many times.
but that jumped off the page to me the other day. According to your faith, be it unto
Be
you.
it unto you. We was
I,
Elder Walton just preached that last Sunday or something like that.
did he? Yes. I was
So
like,
you want something to work out? Because he was talking about them blind men.
right, right. Check
And
check your faith. You trying to figure out why it ain't happening a certain way or why it is happening. Check your faith.
check
Yeah.
your faith.
Check your
Because
faith.
my favorite thing about whenever, I preach or hear whatever about the whole armor of God,
Mm-hmm.
it says above all,
Above
the
all.
shield of faith.
Mm.
Above all. You can have your helmet, you can have your sword, you could have it all. You have your breastplate. It said, but above all,
Above
the
all
shield
that.
of right. Because if you ain't got no faith, your helmet ain't no good, your sword ain't no
Right,
good.
right, because you
Ain't
better
none of
have
it.
faith that that helmet is going to work. You better have faith that that shield is going to work. You better
Right?
have faith that it's all going to work, because without faith is no good. Above all,
It's no good.
preach,
Above all.
preacher. I appreciate that. That's another word for me, and I appreciate above all.
Amen.
Wow. Well, one of the last questions I have for you is, if you had a message for all caregivers listening right now. I want to read something that you said. You advised this. You said, "Be strong in the Lord, in the power of His might." Being a good caregiver is not for the faint of heart. Be stern sometimes and do what's best for your loved ones and yourselves. No matter what, don't lose your love for your mom, your sister, your dad, etc. And then you said, I believe that kindness goes a long way. We have to be understanding in the situation. The loved one is afraid, confused, and has never been in that situation before. We have to put ourselves in their shoes when it comes to caring for them. And when the time gets overwhelming, retreat and reassess the situation. Go for a walk and cool off. And by all means, pray, pray, pray. Allow the Lord to lead you and guide you, even with all your decision making for your loved ones. And I believe that that's the best line of advice that anyone could give or receive. And for that, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the Collective podcast. And like I said, is there a business there? Is there something that we can advertise for you? Can you tell us about it if there is? Talk to me just a little bit.
Yes. So one thing that we have is clear financial vision, and that we're a financial company. And what we do is just help you with your finances, as budget wise. We do insurance, budget, prepaid legal. So we have different services that's going to help you just navigate in life. And some things that's just more important than others, which is your insurance and your financial stability. So, clear financial vision. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We have a website. So, just give us a look if you are in need of term life insurance. That's what we have. Term.
Term life. Okay. Um, so you say Instagram, they can find you at Clear Life,
Clear financial vision.
Clear Financial Vision
Vision.
Vision on
Ye-
Instagram. Clear.
Yes.
All right.
Financial.
Let me put, as a matter of fact, so it's at,
Hmm.
hold on, I'm going to put this in here so that we'll have this for you. At ClearFinancialVision.
Yes.
And that is at Instagram.
Yes. Instagram and Facebook.
So if you need some assistance in those
Yay.
areas, because if you know what's happening in the state of our world right now, we probably all could use a little bit of assistance in those areas, if for no other reason than to keep ourselves sane in the midst
Right.
of this craziness. So don't forget to check them out on Instagram and Facebook at Clear Financial Vision. And so, Rhonda, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Last thing, talk to me about how you navigated difficult conversations with family members, healthcare providers, or even the person, even your sister, and even the person that you're currently caring for.
Um, Sometimes, just like I said, it just has to be that hard conversation. And just, I think in my personality, I'm kind of black and white.
Okay.
So I just have to, I'm kind, but it's black and white.
Right.
I have to tell you what is really going on
Right.
and how we have to navigate through that.
Right.
So even right now, we have to make some hard decisions about what's next. Sometimes you just have to tell that person because of how they're feeling and what's going on in their head. Like they're mean, they're grumpy, or whatever. And you have to tell them you can't do that.
Right.
You have to be able to have, it's just those conversations that somebody has to do it.
Right. Right.
And uh, some people don't have the personality for it because, like with the lady I'm with now, the her neighbor said when we went in to, because when we went over there, I said I'm gonna have to clean your house. And the neighbor next door that would come and check on her, she said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're doing this." She said, I didn't know how to tell her house was dirty." And so it's just like some things, I mean, you need somebody that's going to do the hard work.
Right. Right.
Not that you want to be that person, but like sometimes it just has to be done.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It does have to be done. Especially, especially things like that. That's for the good of the person, for their own good.
Yes.
Making sure that they have a clean environment. That's a part of caring for the person because, that could end up being that thing that takes them out. The hard conversations.
So
Well,
I'm that guy.
you, you're that guy. Well, you know, um, if nobody else has said it before, thank you, and I appreciate you for being that guy.